This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
The month of May comes to November as the 2019 OpenWheels.com Indy 500 presented by Mitchell Transmissions has officially kicked off qualifying this Saturday afternoon. Over 100 of the best IndyCar drivers on the iRacing service has hit the racetrack, all of which fighting for 33 starting positions in the OpenWheels.com 500-mile race next week here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Today is pole day of what is a two-day qualifying format. We'll be going over that as well as all the other information. Cars currently not yet on track, but let's get down to your broadcast team. It's going to be myself, Randy Chineth, running the cameras and bringing you through the show today. Tyler Maxon and Nolan Rempel from RaceSpot TV will also be joining us, and Christopher Demerit will be on hand as well for his expert input. And Nolan, you're going to be coming up first. Indianapolis, for these drivers that do Indianapolis, this is the most important place in the world as far as racing is concerned. This is where it all matters, as right now we have Peyton Grease out there on the racetrack.
Peyton Grease currently on his warm-up lap, I believe, and yes, it is, of course, Indianapolis Motor Speedway, nicknamed the Brickyard for that very famous little stretch of bricks marking the start-finish line. Such an iconic racetrack with its rectangular shape. So unbelievably tricky, though, as well. It is a lot tighter than you might think in the corners. And let me tell you, qualifying for a race like this can be absolutely crucial for, just these 500-lap races. I can't wait to see what we can get going with here today.
So, as I mentioned there, drivers are fighting for 33 spots, and you might be saying to yourself, there's no ticker along the top of your screen. Well, we have ourselves a ticker for all of you to reference. It'll be running vertically down the left-hand side of your screen here, right now. So we'll bring that up. It will cover a little bit of our driver graphic, but you can see the running order as the cars currently sit out there on the racetrack. So Peyton Grease, his first lap time is going to come and cycle through, and Chris, is probably going to be the first time we come over to you. Actually, that's going to be his second time, I believe. 39.441 and a 39.468. Considering we're seeing lap times in the low 39.1s right now, especially for 4-lap averages, not a great looking run right now for Peyton Grease.
Yeah, looks like he needs a bit more speed. The cutoff right now is at a 39.260. That's a 4-lap average. And yeah, it's difficult finding speed out here. But it looks like Peyton's going to need a little bit more if he wants to make the field.
So right now he's currently displaying as the fastest driver on circuit on the left-hand side. You have to somewhat halfway ignore that because this qualifying session here, Tyler, it's happening over multiple sessions. So this is the final session of the day that runs from now to essentially when you see the clock in the top left corner, that's going to be when this session comes to an end. But drivers have been at this pretty much all day. First session to open up for qualifying at 6 in the morning Eastern time. So they've been going at this since pretty much the sun came up, and pretty much nearly at the point that the sun's going to go down that they're going to be done with it.
Yeah, they've been going at it now. This is nearly 12 hours these guys have been going at this for the top 33 spots in qualifying. It's ever crucial that you get this done today, and you're not at that bubble point, or you're not below the cut line going into tomorrow, into bump day. It's definitely stressful as is. You really don't want to know that you have to get faster as the week goes on.
Yep, so Peyton Grease's run will come to an end, and not exactly sure where that's going to cycle him in just yet, but with laps right there tuning in at 39.4, 39.4, well, all in 39.4s for both lap 1 through 4. He's going to be well and truly out of the running order right now. Bump time at the moment, Christopher, 39.260, so nearly 2/10 off on the 4-lap average. One of the great things about this event is that there is such a wide variety of drivers taking place. You have all the big sort of names you'd expect, and one of which we'll bring in shortly. We've not seen in quite a long time, but it's good to see a lot of sort of the newer drivers, or maybe drivers you're not as used to seeing be quick in these cars, or even in these race cars at all, out there on the racetrack, as Wilson Neto is going to be the next driver up in line. Demerit.
Yeah, it's always nice seeing a good mix of people in this in these sessions. A lot of people that don't normally run the 500, or that at least don't show up as on my radar as much. It's also a very different and more interesting atmosphere after watching times here. So it's fun to see him coming back after a year's hiatus.
Apologies for the sound there. Onboard camera was quite a bit louder than I expected it to be. But I think we've got that pretty much sorted out, as Wilson Neto will take to the racetrack. And you hear him saving fuel a little bit here, Nolan. So I think drivers are obviously going to want to go out there, and they're going to want as light of a fuel load as they can possibly get for themselves as they head back out there on the racetrack, especially for their 4 hot laps. He's going to come across start finish and start his technical warm-up lap, but I mean, that's really as competitive as competitive as you're going to get on the iRacing service, to have these guys going out there and needing the fuel to be so light that they're on the warm-up lap essentially just coasting around.
You usually don't see it too often. Usually, when you go to a qualifying session here on the service, you just see people trying to push it flat out as fast as they can go all the way around. You rarely see drivers trying to save fuel on a warm-up lap, no less, but that's what Wilson Neto is doing. He's got the car in 5th right now as he comes off at turn 4 onto the start-finish line to start his first flying lap for his 4-lap run. He's going to shift up into 6th here. He's going to keep it in 5th for now as he runs down to turn number 1.
Gear choices pretty much preference for these guys, as Wilson will take to the racetrack on his first of 4 timed laps. And during this run, we're going to bring in someone who's easily an historic name in the iRacing IndyCar community, and it's a driver who currently sits at the top of the timing sheets for the 4-lap average. This is Young. Oh, and Young, it's great to see you again. It's been so long since we've seen you. You are such an icon in this IndyCar community, but you've sort of come back a little bit in one of these big major Indianapolis 500s. How does it feel to, nearly at the end of the first day of qualifying, have the pole position in what will be the only safe position going into bump day tomorrow, looking like you might just have it wrapped up?
Well, thanks. Yeah, it's been a long time. I didn't expect to come back, but my old teammate, Tim Doyle, convinced me to run this event, and Tanner also reached out to me, and he told me that he was going to run the whole event as close to reality as possible. So, yeah, it really impressed me the way he put on the event, so I decided to join it. Yeah, it was a tricky day today. I think the first run, I really messed it up on the warm-up lap. So, spinning onto the grass in turn 3, coming to the green flag, is definitely not the best way. I recommend people to go take the green flag, but second run was much more smooth, and yeah, I'm glad to can say that I still I'm not so as rusty as I thought I was.
And how have you been finding this new IndyCar? Because obviously, when you were on really active in the community and really such a big part of the iRacing IndyCar community, that's when we were really running the Dallara IR05. That was a car everyone was really flocking to. Now, technically speaking, you are allotted and allowed to run any of the 3 iRacing cars in this event that iRacing has on offer, be that the Dallara IR05, the Dallara DW12, or the brand new IR18. How's it been getting up to speed with this new car? You kind of jumped that middle point that a lot of the drivers had in the DW12 and kind of went straight from having driven the IR05 years ago right into the IR18.
Let's take a look at Wilson Neto first, because I think he's about to end a really fantastic run. he might take the pole from me, actually. Let's see.
You're right, actually. Those 4-lap averages have been quite good, and a 167, a 101, a 124, and a 215. We'll have to get a count on what the average was there, but that's going to be really, really close to the pole position. We don't
Would be second place. Well, 39.152 average there.
So 39.152, so 9 thousandths off. So apologies on that one, as that was a very close run forming up. A little starstruck talking to Young, if I'm entirely honest, but things still very tight here. But Young, I mean, back to the question I kind of asked. I mean, how do you find this new car compared to the older IR05?
It was really confusing, I have to be honest. When I first looked at the setup going to the garage, I didn't know where to start, so I kind of made the changes according to how I was setting up the DW12, and the car was undrivable. So then, but luckily in our team we have a very experienced setup guy in Niall Sanders, and he passed me a very good setup to start with, and he and we used to have completely opposite setup directions, but this time I managed to take some of his directions and mix it with mine, and turned out to be a pretty good setup.
Well, Young, congratulations to you on still sitting on the pole as we get ready to move on through qualifying. We're going to let you go. We might have a chat with you a little bit later on in the session, and when it starts looking a little bit more guaranteed that you'll be the pole sitter perhaps. But you have yourself a good afternoon, and good luck for the 500-mile race coming next week.
All right, thanks, guys.
So next driver we're going to have up on track here is going to be Chris Stouffer, and he's been quite good in the IndyCar series. Seen him in the various IndyCar leagues as well. Seen him put in some very, very good good efforts. But Tyler, I know you're not as much of an Indy sort of hard plug like the way some of us here are at RaceSpot TV. What's kind of your takeaway from after getting out there and seeing a couple of these guys put down some good runs, mostly Wilson Neto, who nearly pipped the pole time there?
Yeah, it's really impressive. I mean, I tried my hand at this at one point on the iRacing service, and I failed miserably. So I have a mad respect for these guys who can do this and do this really, really well like they do. It's really impressive to me.
So first time lap now for Chris Stouffer as he works through the short chute between corners number 1 and 2 and down at the back straightaway. We do have lap times. We have a spreadsheet available to us that has been sort of running down the sort of lap speeds we've been seeing. So we'll be able to sort of give a rough average there on what we've been seeing. First lap from Wilson Neto, who I believe was the one of the fastest first laps that we've seen. That was a 167. So let's see what Chris Stouffer can do as he comes off of turn 4 and screams towards the yard of bricks. First time for him is going to go at a 39.210. So not quite what you're looking there for, Christopher, but a couple quicker drivers up the running order have put in laps in that 2-1 sort of bracket. Jeff Drake probably jumping out as the quickest, 2.20. He currently sits 5th overall in the qualifying running order, but even though that first lap, Christopher, is a little bit slow for him, it's not the end of the world as he works in towards 3 and 4 again.
No, it's definitely not the end of the world, but from what we've seen at least today with how the track is, that based on the way that this first lap is, he'll probably be right in that kind of mid-pack 20s to 30 qualifying positions where things will get really heated later on. 39.206 second lap, might want it to be a little bit faster to get a little bit better positioning for qualifying, but should be on track for somewhere around the high 20s or 30s right now, but we'll need to pick up a little bit more speed for this third lap if he wants to improve.
So let's see, he works through corners number 3 and 4 once again, working lap number 3. This is going to be the point of the run. The car starts getting a little bit harder to deal with. Of course, drivers have in-car tools, both front and rear anti-roll bar, as well as the weight jacker to play with. Third lap as he's going to cycle through across start finish, 39.240. So Nolan, he's putting in decent times, and the times are actually very consistent here from Chris Stouffer. The problem is they're just not fast.
That is true, certainly not in comparison to Wilson Neto's 39.1 that we've been seeing him putting down so consistently as well. So, you know, consistency is key when it comes to a race, but at qualifying, you might want to be fast and consistent. And right now he's being consistent, but The speed, it looks like, might need to work on it just a little bit more. Off turn number 4, this will be for his final flying lap, I believe, across the start-finish line. Will he improve? It's going to be a 39.232.
And actually, Demerit, that's one of the most consistent runs. Yeah, that is hilariously consistent here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway over a qualifying run as he comes through and rips a couple of cones down there at the access road from turn 2 onto the racetrack. But, I mean, normally we're always talking about the fact that this car is going to change big ways over a 4-lap average. And I know just having the extra warm-up lap, I'm sure you guys in the setups, that's changed some things in terms of how you've had to do things. But a 2.10 is first-time lap, quickest lap over the run at a 2.06, then a 2.40 and a 2.32. A 0.03 of a second drop-off is nothing over a 4-lap run with some of the things you guys do and the abuse, especially the rear tires, tend to get in this IR18.
Yeah, exactly. In that warm-up lap, you see everyone kind of going slow on that warm-up lap. I mean, it's also to save fuel, but a big part of it is to not put unnecessary heat into the tires, actually. So you'll see Michele coming out here. He'll roll slowly up to the speed that we need to hit, provided by the rules, and then once he hits the start-finish line to do his warm-up lap, he'll back off a little bit and get back on. That's at least what i5G has been doing recently. Michele, another i5G teammate of mine. Yeah, going back to that tire fall, that was really impressive from Chris Stouffer, because normally you see, at minimum half a tenth, usually, upwards of a tenth or a tenth and a half of fall off between your fastest lap and the 4th lap. The 4th lap is usually the one that you're hanging on for dear life.
Yeah, and I know that well and truly personally from my qualifying attempts when we first got this brand new car, as Michele is going to roll through on his warm-up lap. And you got a couple of us, we are trying to keep tab of the 4-lap averages, by the way, manually. Unfortunately, because this is such a rare thing, Tyler, we don't have any software really set up to do this automatically for us. But it's just a unique thing for us here at RaceBot TV to have to deal with.
Yeah, it certainly is. It's pretty much just get out your phone or your calculator and start punching in the numbers and try to figure out what these 4-lap averages are. But it's definitely something that I've personally never had to deal with, and I know a lot of other sim racing commentators haven't either.
Yep, so first lap is going to start now for Michele Constantini. The warm-up with a 41.905, so he's definitely being tame on the tires. We'll bring up the lap graphic for Michele. He's the 4th driver we've had go out and enter the racetrack at the moment. Wilson Neto has been the quickest, with Chris Stouffer in the 2nd spot over both the ultimate time and 4-lap average. Peyton Dries didn't quite have the sort of speed, but you can definitely say that Michele Constantini is going to be more than capable to get this car up to speed. Let's see what the first time is going to be. It's likely going to be in the 39-second bracket, but as he screams towards the yard of bricks, he'll go to a 39.167 on his first lap around the racetrack, and that jumps out to me immediately here, Demerit, because he's matched what both Wilson Neto and John Hadjic-Doggett were able to put down for their runs, and he's only 5 thousandths off what Young's first lap was.
Yeah, Michele's been really impressive this weekend, a bit faster than I am. Unfortunately, I don't think it's realistic for him to be going up straight against Wilson Neto and Young O, but definitely a bar to reach for in the future. But should post, I believe his goal should be around the top 3 rows.
Well, he's dropped off a little bit, time with a 31.140. That's still sort of within the, 39.140. That's still within the mark that he needs to be hitting. But in terms of second laps, that's a couple of hundredths of a second off what other drivers have been able to put down. Down the back straightaway, the car going to start driving a little bit differently now over the run. Tires going to be feeling a little bit more abused. This is where things are going to be getting a little bit slicker over. Let's see, how did he handle 3 and 4? 3 was relatively nice, gets the car under the white line nicely through turn 4 and runs right out to the wall. Let's see, what's lap 3 going to register here? It's going to be a 39, but a 39 what? 0.161. He's putting down some decent times here, Tyler.
Yeah, he really is. He's putting down some very nice times indeed. He hasn't had a whole lot of drop-off. He's stayed pretty consistent so far over his 3 laps. Let's see what he does here on his 4th one.
39.143 is currently the mark to beat for Mr. Young O. Will Michele Constantini get close as he works through turns 3 and 4. We saw a big drop off in the speed from Wilson Neto, who is the first really fast car we had on track. And Michele Constantini, does he maybe fall victim to the same thing? Comes off of turn 4, down to the front straightaway, and it's going to be at the stripe, a 39.267. So there's a big drop off that we talked about. We'll divide these up by 4, and you're going to get a 39.183. That should cycle him into 4th. Demerit.
It was definitely an impressive run. I probably can't do that even though I have the same car setup as he is, but yeah, that was a really impressive run for Michele.
So Demerit goes a little bit robotic there, as I believe he's having some internet connection issues. And next up on the racetrack is going to be Tails Toledo, as he'll be the next car to roll out. And we do get confirmation that Michele Constantini does take up that 4th spot with a 4-lap average of 39.184. They go to the thousandths of a second for the Open Wheels Indy 500. My calculation was a 183.75, so 184 is definitely correct. But getting really close here, Nolan, on the qualifying times, and you're starting to see this big drop-off, and there seems to be a couple of different setup options that drivers are running. I think a lot of people and a lot of these quicker teams are likely going to be looking at what Chris Stouffer managed in terms of his 4-lap average and his consistency, and probably scratching their heads about how he managed it. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe one of these other drivers that maybe identifies, that we might normally identify as a quicker driver, maybe they try something and go out there and throw down another run.
Well, and even Michele Constantini, he was incredibly consistent as well. 2 of his laps were only 6,000ths of a second apart. His slowest lap to his fastest lap was only about 0.12 of a second. That is not that much compared to, the occasional 3/10 gap that we see between the slowest and fastest lap average. So we are seeing some shockingly consistent times being laid down, which is definitely impressive given the fact that the car does get a lot slicker over the course of a 4-lap run.
And Demerit, I do want to ask the question, how difficult is it for you guys knowing that the way the qualifying works is that you only get 3 runs over 2 days? And for our fans, this is the way qualifying works. All drivers get the chance to run a time today on what is pole day. The only position that is safe after pole day, going into bump day tomorrow, is the pole position. So hypothetically, 32 cars could get bumped out of the field tomorrow as Tails Toledo is out there on the racetrack. His first lap, it comes in at a 41.663, so he is 2 seconds off the mark. Well and truly down on speed at the moment, possibly even out there on a race setup, I would think, with that to be that far off the mark. But how difficult is that for you guys as drivers, Demerit, knowing that you're going in and going through this event and knowing that you only have 3 runs across 2 days to manage?
Yeah, it's definitely a mental challenge, really, because you have everyone, you spent the whole day, waiting, watching other people qualifying, and it finally becomes your turn, and preferably you do probably as close to the best 4 laps as you can put down the first time, and if you do that, you don't think you will improve too much, your weekend's kind of not as stressful as looking for those last few thousands or hundredths as some of these drivers might be right now.
So nightmare of a run here, Tyler, for Tails Toledo as he works out there on the racetrack. The second lap actually wasn't that bad at a 39.295, but that first lap for him at a 41.663, that's just simply way too far off the mark for him to even manage, and that's basically just going to be a run killer.
Yeah, it really is. Really, even his 3rd lap there, that 39.213, really not bad here for the 2nd and 3rd lap, but that first lap pretty much just completely killed his entire run, and there's really nothing that he's going to be able to do about it.
So we are going to bring in another driver. We have a handful of them already. Demerit's saying the 41.6 was a warm-up, so 2.95 and then a 2.13. We will keep an eye on if that is indeed correct or not. So this is either his 3rd lap or his 4th lap, as he will come off a turn 4, and this is going to be a 39. We can assume 2.53. So if that's right, Demerit, another actually surprisingly consistent run here from what we typically see in drop-off.
Yeah, this pattern of first lap, a very quick 2nd lap, and then starting to fall off in the 3rd lap is pretty typical, and you can usually tell by the 1st or 2nd lap, what that average is going to be. based on kind of experience of seeing everyone's 4 laps. Looks like he might need a little bit more time, but we'll see how it all depends on this 4th lap right here.
He might be having the same sort of issue we're seeing with Chris Stouffer, where even though he has the consistency, may not have the ultimate speed. He's going to come across at 39.262, so he's going to stay in that average. That'll be the 3rd slowest of his 3 laps, but he'll cycle through and bring the race car off the racetrack. But we're going to have a driver now with a chat. We're going to have a chat with a driver now as well, who's been sitting in our interview channel for about 20 minutes. This is Mr. Logan Simmons. Logan currently sat 9th overall of all runners, and you've shown some good speed. I think you have to be pretty happy with that at the moment.
Oh, believe me, there is no better feeling than what I felt whenever I started my run this morning and wound up 3rd in the first group. I thought I was getting bumped today, to be honest.
So you definitely, as you said you didn't particularly feel comfortable after your first run. As we got a car on the racetrack, this is going to be Bradley Walters. Now, interestingly, this is going to be Bradley's 2nd run, so this is going to be interesting to watch. But how do you feel at the moment? Do you think you're likely going to have to run again tomorrow, or do you feel safe to currently sitting about 10th quickest with 27 minutes left to go in the session today, that you're probably going to be safe?
Oh, I feel like I'm safe. I'm not touching iRacing in Indianapolis till whatever our next practice day is. It's been a long month at this point, so I'm going to enjoy it, and hopefully next week we can go out there and win this race.
Well, thanks for joining us, Logan, and good luck to you when we get to the big day in about a week's time.
All right, y'all have a good one.
There was Mr. Logan Simmons, who joined us for a short time, and this is going to be an interesting run that we have forming up here, Demerit, because Bradley Walters, that's certainly a name I think that you kind of look at. He should be able to jump his way or bump his way up the running order a little bit, and he currently sits, I believe it's technically 20th or so out there on the racetrack, but he's wiped that time away. That lap time no longer is on the board, and he's getting a completely clean run of it. One of the unique things about Indianapolis 500 qualifying, when you want to make a second attempt, it wipes the first one out.
Yeah, definitely that immediate consequence of, as soon as you exit pit lane to have your next attempt, you don't have a backup time to fall onto. And especially with how tight all these times are, you look from 33rd to 8th, and we're all separated by 0.5 of a second. There's a big risk in taking another turn if you don't need it.
So first warm-up lap went through at a 42.437. Again, the warm-up laps haven't been too indicative of a time because drivers are taking it relatively easy to manage the tires, but this opening lap is definitely the one to watch. Through turn 3 for the first time at speed in towards turn 4, 230 miles an hour nearly at the turn-in point at turn 4. Going to come off, nearly be pushing about 234, 235 entering turn 1. First lap for him is going to cycle through at a 39.203, so a decent opening lap there, Nolan, for Mr. Bradley Walters as he navigates 1 and 2.
Really decent run for Bradley Walters. He currently in sim for 3rd on track, so this is what the start to his session that Bradley Walters wanted. If he can get that time down there, he could be threatening, the top 15, top 10 drivers here. And it is unbelievably, it's unbelievable how fast these cars can go around. 235 miles an hour. To the other people that use the metric system like myself, that is nearly 400 kilometers per hour. He's hitting 380 into return number 1. So it's just unbelievable the speeds that these cars can get. It's just even more incredible that they can keep them under control.
Second lap of the 39.176 for Bradley. So getting quicker, and that is a little slow, but it's sort of in the mark I think he needs to potentially improve his run, especially with the first lap that he was able to put down. So lap 1 comes through at a 39.202, lap 2 a 39.176. Can he improve on lap 3 and keep what is a good run at the moment, Tyler, going strong?
Yeah, and he does. That's a 39.165, so he is really having
He's getting
a good
faster
lap
and
3
faster.
here. Yeah, he certainly is. He's getting really quick here. It's just about a matter of how good he can get through lap number 3. This is when laps are made and lost, and really this is probably, I would say, the most crucial lap in the entire run.
Definitely, as in turn 3 and 4 are what is important. Watch the hands as we go to an onboard camera angle, what he has to manage through turn 4. Is he fighting that race car? The run has looked good thus far, and he's definitely going to improve on where he was. Turn 3 and 4 looked pretty clear that time. He'll come across the stripe right now at a 39.250. Hard drop off there for Bradley Walters, and that is going to average out to him to a 39.198. And I think the thing for him right now, demerit, is that even though he had that big drop off, that's going to punch him up about 10 or 15 spots from where he was. He was sitting in about the mid-20s before he came out and did that second attempt. So I think it's a good decision by Bradley to come out and run a second run.
Oh yeah, definitely. That put him up to P8, so he should be pretty safe for tomorrow's bumping day. And yeah, as long as you can get a first 3 laps, you know, if you have a little drop off on lap 4, that's fine. But you got to make those first 3 laps be pretty quick.
So next out on the racetrack is going to be the 28 of Joe Branch. Also, by the way, something to keep in mind for people in terms of why aren't drivers just going out and maybe doing more runs more often. The big risk, Nolan, about going up and, the big heartbreak moment for people. Again, this is a 33-car field and not making the run. Tails Toledo, the 34th paced car after his attempt, after entering that we saw from him, just a couple of cars to go. That has to be so frustrating to go out there and just barely not make the field. Matter of fact, I know it's frustrating because that's been me before.
Yeah, it's so frustrating to, miss out by so little. Right now, just 0.02 of a second on the 4-lap averages. Toledo is sitting behind Blade Witt, who's currently in that final bump spot. So it's just such a shame to, work so hard over a weekend, and then all of a sudden, somebody just comes along and it just kind of all goes wrong. And, 1 spot and 1,000th of a second, that's all you need, really, to, be out of the race. And unfortunately, that was the case with Tails Toledo today. It's got to be so incredibly frustrating. I know I've been in that kind of a position myself before, so unbelievably frustrating. I know.
The margin over a 4-lap average, by the way, right now, ladies and gentlemen, between being in the field and out of the field, the 07 of Blade Witt is in the field with a 39.254 4-lap average. That is an average mile per hour speed of 229.275 miles an hour. Out of the field, Tails Toledo at a 39.256 4-lap average at 229.266 miles an hour, as Joe Branch will take to the racetrack, and he'll take the green flag for his qualifying run, Tyler.
Yeah, he takes the green flag this time, and it looks to me like he's had a pretty good run here through turns 1 and 2. We'll see how he gets on through 3 and 4, but it's not about the first lap. It's all about the average, like we've been saying. The 4-lap average is what kills people, and it's the small little details. It's 2 1,000ths of a second are the difference between being out of the field and being in it. And that's just the way Indianapolis is. It's very brutal and cutthroat if you miss out on it by that little tiny margin.
You see Joe Branch underneath his name, it says Indiana. This is very much a home race for Joe Branch, and it's one he wants to win. 39.205 first lap for Joe. He cycles across start finish and goes through corners number 1 and 2. He was attempting a run in the previous session that they had up, and he spun, I believe it was on his 3rd lap off of turn 2. So that's going to be important to watch here for the Hoosier of Joe Branch. Screaming in towards 3 and 4. Does he pick up the speed on lap number 2, or is he maybe running a more consistent style pace that we've seen from a couple of drivers thus far? Off of turn 4 down the front straightaway for the end of his 2nd lap. Timing beam nearly a mile down this long straightaway, and he'll cycle through at a 39.173, so a little bit of a bump there, demerit, but not a huge amount.
No, not a huge amount. We'll see telltale signs of exactly where he'll be on the 3rd and 4th lap, but he's definitely on track to make the field, and this is his final run of the weekend, so even if it's not quite what he wants, he can't run tomorrow, and he has to make this run count and finish it.
So drama for Joe Branch, 3rd time out onto the racetrack, last time that he gets the opportunity to qualify. Off of turn 4, he'll be seeing the white flag at the starter stand. This lap is going to come through, and it's going to be a 39.195. Little bit of drop off from lap number 3 to from lap 2 to lap 3, but still well in the window. This is a corner he had trouble with on his 2nd run. Works through turn 2, and it doesn't look like he has any issues with traction this time. Down the back straightaway for the final time for Joe Branch, his 12th lap. 12th potential lap in terms of being able to attempt to qualify in towards turn 3, and the Hoosier of Joe Branch is looking strong at the moment, but we know that this is the end of the racetrack that can cause so many problems, and this is the lap that has had the big drop off in speed. What is the time going to be? It's going to register through at a 39.244, so there's the drop off, but I think as Christopher just said, Tyler, that should be more than safe enough for him.
Yeah, that should certainly be safe. From my calculations, that's a 39.203 four-lap average. So right now, that would actually put him up into about 12th or 13th place. So he is definitely safe.
So he is definitely in the field as things currently look. So Mr. Joe Branch definitely going to be happy with that. Now, of course, with bumping tomorrow, I mean, you mentioned it, Demerit. Not having a run in your back pocket is going to be, I think, really frustrating, but you think that's going to be safe? Do you see potentially bumpage happening from that far up the running order?
Unless a whole bunch of teams, pull all-nighters and find a few more hundredths in their setups, I don't see that time getting bumped out. So I think if I was Joe, I'd feel safe. And I'm not, honestly, I'm only 4 thousandths faster than him, and I don't think I can go any faster, so I hope that's safe too.
So Christopher Demerit may be feeling a little bit difficult as well. Keeping up the drama on drivers having a final run, this is going to be Alexander Williams' final run. I'm trying to see where he's currently scored.
He did not finish his last attempt, so he does not have a time scored right now.
So as we said, when you come out on the racetrack to run a second or third time, it wipes the previous attempt. So right now, Alexander Williams is not anywhere in the field, and this is going to be the only one he gets. As green flag for him, I take that back. He'll be starting his warm-up lap here, Nolan.
Warm-up lap for Alexander Williams, so incredibly crucial to get it right. He's got to make sure that, those first couple corners on the track are the ones that really count over the lap average. It is a little strange here, Randy, because one thing that I have noticed, even either on the sim or in IRL, turns 1 and 2 seem to be the ones that always catch drivers out. Like even in the 2019 Indy 500 weekend, we saw like cars go airborne and tipping over as well. And we've already heard, earlier today, drivers crashing out in turn 2 as well. So it's really strange. It's about 1 and 2 that's just so much more difficult than 3 and 4 for these guys to manage.
So green flag's going to be out on his run here as he will work down in towards 1 and 2. I can tell you right now that in the center of turns 1 and 2 there, entering turn 1 definitely feels like the tightest end of the racetrack for sure. And there's also a bump through turn 2 that causes drama as well. So Alexander Williams, first time for him is going to be oh so important that we've seen thus far. He's going to cycle across turn 4, and now we got to keep an eye on that current lap marker about where this is going to tick off for him. 37, 38, 39.351. Demerit, that is not where you want to be.
No, it's not at all. Unless he can find another 10th or even 2 tenths on these next 3 laps, I don't see Alexander being able to make this field.
If you want a metric, the current bump time held by Niall McBride, the first lap for him with a 39.227. So well and truly off the mark at the moment was Alexander Williams. But Niall's second lap with a 39.187. Can maybe Alexander find something in lap 2, lap 3, or lap 4? Second lap's going to come across as a 39, and it's going to be a 39.251, a slight improvement, but still a couple of tenths short, Tyler.
Yeah, just a little bit short there. I don't, like you guys were saying, I don't think that he's going to have enough to make the field. He would really have to put in a monster lap 3 and 4 here, but I just don't see it happening.
Niall McBride, who currently owns the bubble spot, he had quite a bit of drop-off on his run. His quickest lap was a 39.187. He dropped off all the way down to a 3.35 on the final lap. So maybe if Alexander Williams can keep up an average pace, maybe he can just hold on. But this is going to be the important one to see what the lap times are doing on that race car. He's going to come across the timing beam, and he's going to go to a 39.269. So not a huge amount of fall off there. But this is going to be, of course, the most important lap. We've seen runs made or broken on this 4th and final lap. Off of turn 2 and down the back straightaway. 200 230, 232 miles an hour. Track speed should be about 234, 235 in towards turn 3. It's about what he gets to. And through 3 and 4 for the final time. This is what his weekend all comes down to. Is he going to make the field or not? It's going to be a 4-lap average of 39.251 that he has to beat. And down the front straightaway, he'll go to a .323. And I don't think that's going to be anywhere close to enough. That 4-lap average could come through to a 39.298. Alexander Williams, demerit. He is the first driver confirmed to not be making the field.
Yeah, it's I think we'll be seeing a few more of those, especially tomorrow. People running out of attempts to find a little bit more speed out of their car.
So unfortunate there for Alexander Williams. You know, there's been a ton of testing, a ton of working, and a ton of improving, trying to get the cars already sped up and up to speed. So after what we've seen happen with a couple drivers running time, I mentioned that this driver was the bubble driver. He currently sits 34th. So Blade Witt, he's going to come out, and I believe this will be his... Is this his second or third run?
I believe it's his second. Yes, it's his second run.
Okay, so this is going to be his second run, and that's definitely nice to have up your pocket there, Nolan. To have the run to potentially work tomorrow is such a huge advantage.
It certainly is. So, you know, you have that run over tomorrow, and if it is his second run and he does get one more attempt tomorrow, he can work all throughout the night to perfect that setup and get those times down in practice sessions. So that's something that he would be looking for. And we have heard that this will most likely be the final attempt of this session. So this could be all or nothing here for Blade Witt, as he is on his flying lap now down the back straightaway, just about hitting 235 miles an hour.
The timer in the top corner says 11 minutes, but they go till 5:50. That is when, 5:50 Eastern time, that is when the gun for qualifying will sound, and the track will be closed for further attempts. So Blade Witt, he's just going to sneak through and just barely get this run started. Good warm-up for him, actually here, demerit, at a 39.836. I'm actually worried as he may be burning the stuff up, getting it up to speed there early as he sees the green on his qualifying run.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a concern, but honestly, because Indianapolis is so momentum heavy, you know, you're on the throttle the entire way around, holding onto that car. It shouldn't hurt him too bad necessarily. But let's see what he does here.
So off of turn number 4, we're going to ride on board with Blade Witt over this qualifying run and wait for him and really see what the drivers are dealing with. First time at a 39.209, excuse me. That's actually, a 39.225. Apologies on the graphic there. Not sure why I displayed that, but first lap, a 39.225. Little bit shy of, I think, what he wants, Tyler.
Yeah, just a little bit there, but it's not a bad first lap for him. Like you guys were saying, he picks up momentum as the run goes on. So lap 2 and 3 here could be really good for him.
5:50 p.m. Eastern has just ticked through. Qualifying is officially ended with Blade Witt. He will have the opportunity to finish this run, and then that will be it for qualifying here on Saturday. Second lap comes through at a 39.219. So a good speed jump there, demerit.
Yeah, definitely. That's definitely the direction he needs to go. He needs to hold on to those 39.2 second bracket times if he wants to be able to get into the top 33.
So a little over 5 miles to go here for Blade Witt on what's going to be the final qualifying run that we're going to see today. He's going to work through turn 4 and down this front straightaway for the third time. Let's see if the third time is going to be. We know he pushed it on the warm-up lap a little bit harder, trying to make sure he got to the gun. 39.265. The time drops off just a little bit. Is that going to be indicative of what we see on lap number 4 through turns 1 and 2 for the final time? He navigates the bump. I think he's a little loose and scrubbed a little bit of speed there through the center of the corner. Is that going to be enough to maybe keep him in the field, or would that little slide hurt him? 3 and 4 is a bit of an adventure as well as you work through on the worn out tires. You see the way he's sawing at that wheel. Doesn't seem like big movements, but at 225 miles an hour, they feel like big movements. Off of turn 4 for the final time. He's going to cycle through. Lap number 4 will cycle in at a 39.352. Huge drop off there for Blade Witt. And that 4-lap average is going to cycle out at a 39.265. He needed to beat a 39.251. That's a huge drop-off for him there, Christopher.
Yeah, definitely. If he just held on, if those tires just held on for a little bit more, it would have helped bring his average down a bit. Looking about a hundredth and a half out from 33 right now, and I would imagine that tomorrow that cutoff's gonna get a little bit quicker.
So he is going to be scored as the 35th place qualifying driver, which is going to be probably not the greatest feeling he's ever had in the world. But with qualifying officially closed, done, and dusted, we will bring up the qualifying graphic because we can run down the running order, which we will do in just a couple of moments' time. You can see currently at the bottom of the timing sheets, there's a little bit of a glitch with the graphic. Give that a moment to essentially sort itself. But trust me, Blade Witt doesn't have 5 positions outside of the top 33. But the person I want to talk to is the man who was just confirmed to be the pole sitter for the 2019 Open Wheels Indianapolis 500. Mr. Young O has clinched pole position. Young, I'm sure that has to feel very, very nice.
Yeah, it was very unexpected, and I thought I had it in the last hour, but then somehow Wilson put out a fantastic run. That was too close for my comfort, but good to see some real close times at the top. And let me see who is third. Yeah, John is third. So congrats to both Wilson and John for being on the front row.
Yeah, front row for Young O, Wilson Neto, and John Hadjic Doggett. They'll be the 3 drivers bringing us to the green flag for the Open Wheels Indianapolis 500 in about a week's time. But tell me about what this means for you, Young, because I'm sure that has to feel nice to come out and make a statement. You know, it's basically saying that you can kind of come out of retirement and with just a little bit of work, get yourself to the top of the timing sheets. And I'm sure for so many of these guys, I know there's a lot of familiar names you raced with back in the day, you know, like the Josh Chin's in the mix there. Wilson Neto's, I know, has been a long-time member of the community. Jeff Drake's been around for about 1 billion years. How does it feel to see all those familiar names that have really never stopped racing, and you just come in and you're just faster again? Like, it's like you never skipped a beat.
Well, it's fantastic to see all those familiar names. You know, I went into a practice server like 2 nights ago, and a couple of people that I raced with years ago, they were saying hi to me, and yeah, it was really, really nice to see everybody again. And also, I see so many new names. I have no idea who they are, but looking forward to find out and to race with them.
Big day coming in a week's time. What's your preparation going to be like for the race?
For the race, I think we have a lot of work to do because Niles gave us a very good set, very stable set, but I think in terms of pace, we're lacking probably 3-4 tenths according to the practice server. So we need to see if we can trim a lot of error out, and hopefully we can still be within traffic and not hit the wall during the 200 laps. So it'll be a big week coming up for us, and hopefully we can get something done for the race car.
Well, congratulations to you, Young. It's so good to see you. You kind of stopped racing around the time I got into broadcasting. I watched you win a couple of your 500s, but it's so great to see you taking part, and it's good to see you haven't lost any speed or any talent along the way. So congratulations to you on wrapping up pole. You have fun just kicking back and eating with some popcorn, watching the race, watching Bump Day tomorrow, and good luck to you in the 500-mile race in about a week's time.
Thank you very much, Randy. And I have to say, I'm feeling very happy for my teammate, Joe Branch, as well. So that was even nail-biting for me to watch. So I'm very happy that he made it into the field.
So there he was, Mr. Young. We'll be having a chat with Joe. We see him down there, so say that we're not ignoring him. We have a couple people that have been down there for a while that we have not had the chance to get to. But that was Mr. Young O. But man, that has to be heartbreak, Nolan. For those drivers that were sitting there waiting, knowing that it just came down to a couple of minutes and they didn't get even the chance to qualify.
Yeah, well, it is a tricky business. You know, you got to really kind of pounce on the chance when you get it, and for a few of the drivers, the chance never actually came. So it's got to be really, really tough for those drivers, you know, that worked so hard to get there, and then they're just not able to put a run in because, you know, time expired on them. You know, it is kind of interesting to see, you know, if they'll be able to kind of fight back. I think we have a few more qualification runs coming up tomorrow as well.
Yes. Yeah, there's cars on the racetrack. The track is open for practice. So if you just there was a car on the camera angle there, so don't worry. There's no qualifying happening at the moment. But yeah, qualifying resumes tomorrow.
So while they didn't get it in today, they might be able to, you know, still get their shot tomorrow. So, you know, it is really hopeful. But, you know, even though it's over for today, certainly isn't over for the qualifying weekend.
Yep, another driver I actually want to have a chat with, and this is actually a driver I know that this place means very, very much to this individual. Joe Branch, I saw you having issues. I was in the previous session, and I kind of joined around the time you had your issue spinning off of turn 2. I believe that was your third time lap, if I recall correctly. You're able to come in here and put it in pretty safely in the show. I think 13th. That should just about be safe for bumping tomorrow. How does that feel to know that you were potentially on, you know, pushing your final run if you didn't get it in, and to be safe after your successful attempt?
Oh man, the relief, like the deep breaths I took even in the middle of that run. It's not something you do on iRacing a lot, so these events are fun. But yeah, I definitely built the drama up on accident.
Oh well, don't worry. We appreciated it, so don't worry. Your terror was definitely our enjoyment. If that makes you feel better in any way, great. If it doesn't, whatever. But it was a lot of fun watching you work. And actually, we were chatting with Young, and he mentioned the fact you guys are teammates. Now I know you've been around the community long enough that he's going to be a familiar name that you were used to seeing being fast well back in the day. How exactly did that deal come up? Because Young's been, you know, sort of gone for the last 4, 5, 6 years thereabouts. I'm sure that there's some people that have been friends with him, maybe, you know, probably messaging over social media. People have ways that they can keep up with one another. But how did the deal with Young and getting him to race work itself out? Because it seemed like you guys got him up to speed real quick.
Well, let's be honest. Young got us up to speed, so the guy's unbelievable. So he comes out here and he's razor thin. I thought he was going to hit the wall on every lap of his run, and he's just inch perfect. So how it came about was really, I mean, him and Tim Doyle go way back, so long relationship there. But yeah, he's been a blast to have around, and he takes us to the next level for sure.
Now, I know we're still in the moments of getting things finalized. Do you know, I see your name on the timing sheet twice, both listed in 13th and 14th. Do you know who, are you P13 or P14, and who are you technically rolling off next to?
I have no idea. But
Joe is 14th and Liam Quinn is 13th.
Okay, thank you.
If they're exactly tied, they'll show one of the names twice.
I knew a tie had to do with it, but I wasn't sure who the other name was.
All right. Well, congratulations to you, Joe. I'm sure that has to be great. Such a breath of fresh air off your shoulders. One, knowing that it came down to the final run, and knowing that I think, are most of your guys in and pretty safe? You mentioned Doyle. Doyle's in there at P16.
Yeah, Doyle's
what all
solid.
Is your group?
We need to get Joe Flanagan in tomorrow, so he had to run once early this morning and had mapping issues. So he's going to have 2 attempts tomorrow, so he's our last guy to get in. And then we got a My Laps in the Elite Series race tomorrow night. So shout out to My Laps for their support of me and the Kokomo, the Coca-Cola bottling company of Kokomo. Let me get that right.
Well, congratulations to you, and a huge thanks to all those companies for the support that they give you. But good luck to you guys, Joe, in getting Flanagan in tomorrow, and good luck to all you guys that'll be in the big race come next week.
Thank you. Have a good one, guys.
So next up, we're just going to keep the interviews flowing here, and let's bring in this man. But we have to be careful with Mr. Jeff Drake, because sometimes he can be as wild as a certain David Heilemann on the interviews. We have the meme master himself, Jeff Drake. Jeff, how's it going?
Randy. It's good. It's weird talking to you guys this time of year, isn't it?
Nah, not really. I can tolerate talking to you whenever.
You're one of the few.
Yeah, this is true. Now, you did manage to work things out pretty nicely for yourself, end up P6 at the end of the opening day of qualifying. I'm sure that has to feel nice, because that's going to be more than safe, surely, going into tomorrow.
Well, we say that anything can happen for tomorrow, but yeah, so I was out early this morning. It's always great waking up at 6 a.m. to go and qualify for IndyCar. But yeah, so we went out this morning. Marco was on the pole originally. We beat him out very slightly, and that stood there for about 5 hours until Young came in and demolished all of us. So, and it's just been kind of slowly going down since then, but, you know, I can't be disappointed with the speed whatsoever. It's P6, that's second row. I'd rather be on the outside than the middle, so I was a little bit nervous about that during that final hour, but altogether, decent. So,
well, what are the plans for you for the 500-mile race then? Win it? How are you going to do that?
I don't know. I've never done it. So, I mean, the important thing is, you know, just stay clean. Don't get, I mean, that was a big problem for me in May, obviously, was, you know, I was putting my nose where I shouldn't have, and it eventually bit me. But, you know, I mean, the thing is, this place is so tough. I mean, you got turns 1, 2, you got pit entry, you got the tiki bar, you got turns 3 and 4. I mean, every single place around here is tough as nails, and whoever wins is whoever can manage that.
Well, good luck to you, Mr. Jeff Drake, and you enjoyed likely just having to sit by and spectate come tomorrow. But before we let you go, who gets it done with the entire group you run with?
Well, look at who's in P3 right now. John Hatchick-Dye, he's been absolutely phenomenal with helping build the sets for Team Talent, but everyone on the team has chipped in momentously. You got, you know, Josh Chin, you got Liam Quinn, you got Niall, who we're going to be helping out a lot tomorrow. There's tons of other people I'm going to forget right now because my brain does not function that quickly. But it's just such a team effort, and that's the great thing about iRacing in Indianapolis.
Well, thanks for joining us, Jeff, and good luck to you in the 500-mile race.
All right, thanks, boys. See ya.
So we have one more interview we're going to line up, and I know he's been sitting down here a while, but we've had other things going on and other drama. Robert, are you there?
I'm here.
Robert, you guys wrapped up the Classic IndyCar Series here at this very location. What is it, just a week ago? Last weekend, I believe? Time's been, like, going by. It could have been a month ago, and it probably feel like a week ago with the way my brain's working. But you guys wrapped it up, and you guys come out here, Vortex. You put in a 1, 2, 3, but doesn't seem like qualifying quite what you guys would have wanted here through day one.
Yeah, I mean, it was quite obvious during the practice that the IRO5 is no match for the DW12 and the IRO18.
Oh yeah,
Anyways,
you guys are the group that's running the older car. I forgot about that.
Yeah, exactly. So I was just giving it a try with the IRO5, see what I can do. I was quite happy with my run, I would say. I'm not last. That is also very nice. But yeah, actually, I think I'm now P61 or something. No chance whatsoever to make the grid. But anyways, I was enjoying my run today.
And now, how for you, Robert? Because I know that you're, heavily a series administrator. How does it feel for you, and what kind of, what does it mean to you to have an event like this? Someone putting on an event like this that's so in depth and with so many layers to it that, you as an admin, I'm sure, even though you've maybe not tried to run an event at this scale or at this level, it's just obvious like how difficult it would be to pull off. What does it mean for you to have someone doing like this for the IndyCar series for what Tanner Watkins has managed to put together?
Yeah, first of all, of course, the level of competition is just crazy. I mean, all the big names are in this event. That is one thing. But of course, since I am also an admin, I look at the things from a different perspective, and I can only say hats off to Tanner, what he is pulling off here, the amount of work he's putting in, the attention to detail, the whole thing, the whole event feels really good, and yeah, really, I mean, he is really putting in a ton of work, and that is really much appreciated, I'm so sure, by all the competitors here.
Well, congratulations. Well, I say congratulations. I'll say this. Congratulations to Vortex for a 1, 2, 3 in the Classic IndyCar Series Indianapolis 500. How about that? But good luck to you guys tomorrow, Robert, and trying to make some sort of miracle happen and getting the IRO5 qualified.
Thanks a lot.
So he was Robert Grosser from Vortex Sim Racing. And actually, before we completely wrap here, Demerit, I want to kind of ask you about that. I know that was a unique thing for this event. The fact that Tanner opened the door to run whatever cars you wanted, any of the Indy cars you wanted, so you had access to the IR05, the DW12, and the IR18. Seems to be an IR18 dominated field thereabouts. The IR05 just older spec car, not as much. Aero's not as efficient. I don't think they have nearly as much power either. How close to the IR18 and the DW12? Because there's obviously, those are much closer in terms of a generation gap.
Yeah, everything except for the aero and the tires is exactly the same. It mostly comes down to the tire, honestly. The tire that's on the IR18 is a bit faster and can handle a bit more, I guess, abuse and just heat into the tire. And so especially with these slightly higher track times that we've seen in more recent years, that the DW12 has really struggled. And I'm not sure this is off the top of my head, but I don't think there's any DW12s in this top 33 as of right now.
We'll run down the top 33 here in just a moment. But Nolan, qualifying day one officially comes to a close. And what do you think we're going to be mainly looking at going into bump day tomorrow?
Well, bump day is definitely going to be extremely stressful for all of those teams, that didn't get a chance to qualify today. For drivers that, didn't have a terribly good first or second runs today, it's going to be all on their shoulders tomorrow. So it's going to be definitely extremely intense for everybody. And it should be very exciting to see how it could shake the order up.
And Tyler, the 500-mile race, of course, happening next weekend after we get through qualifications. I think we've seen today with how competitive the qualifying is going to be. That is going to be a very, very entertaining race to watch and follow.
Yeah, it certainly is. It's going to be an extremely close race as well. I mean, we just look at the times. They're really not separated by much, which that's what Indianapolis does anyway, but then you do that for an entire 500-mile race, and I think these guys are pretty much just going to be all on top of each other. And it's going to be down to who can manage the tires and who can get the best pit stop strategy to win that one, because I think that's really what it's going to come down to, not so much outright pace.
So now that qualifying has come to an end, let's run down before we close out the broadcast your currently 33-car field heading into bump day tomorrow. Right now it's Young O. He is the pole sitter for the 2019 Open Wheels Indianapolis 500. He is the only driver with a locked-in grid slot. He is the only driver that is a guaranteed starting spot going into the race next week. Wilson Neto and John Hadjic-Doggett, they currently make up the first row of the 500-mile race. Row number 2 is currently Michele Constantini, Henry Bennett, and Jeff Drake, with Marco Aurelio Brazil, Bradley Walters, and Chris Demerit, who we've had the whole time sitting along with us, bounding out row number 3. Row 4, Logan Simmons, Josh Chin, and Rick Music. Row 5, Liam Quinn, Joe Branch, and Adam Blocker. Row number 6, Tim Doyle, David Adams, and Dylan Freckleton. Hugo Olson, Riley Thompson, and AJ Burton. They will make up row number 7. Chris Stouffer, Zach Campbell, and Andrew Wood are on row number 8. Simon Bryant, Chad Simpson, and Silvio Sanchez on row number 9. Brennan Lichtenberg, Jeffrey Stanton, and John Downey on row number 10. And then currently it's Andres Eek, Mac Pavelski, and Niall McBride who round out the 33-car field. Those are some of the names that we're going to be seeing partaking tomorrow, but these are the names that we're likely going to be having to watch tomorrow. The likes of Thales Toledo, Blade Witt, Adam Plunkett, Ryan Norton, Ray Kingsbury, Flynn Lazier, Matt Hollabow, Alexander Williams, Rob Powers. Those drivers are currently scored 34th on down. We have drivers scoring all the way to the 64th, 65th position out of a 33-car field, so there's going to be nearly as many drivers trying to get into the field tomorrow as they're currently in the field right now, and 32 of those positions are still up for grabs. So tomorrow, join us here on the iRacing Esports Network and RaceSpot TV for continued coverage of the Open Wheels 500-mile race here on the iRacing Esports Network. But for myself, Randy Chinnett, Nolan Riffle, Christopher Demarin, Tyler Maxson, from all of us at RaceSpot TV, and for everyone at Open Wheels who makes this event possible, and from Mitchell Transmissions, we would like to thank you for making us a part of your weekend, and we hope to see you tomorrow afternoon as qualifying continues and the drama of the Brickyard continues to go virtual here on iRacing and the iRacing Esports Network. But until then, we will see you all next time. Bye-bye.